Welcome to the Soul Tribe Podcast. The Soul Tribe Podcast was created to help you navigate through the world of spirituality, wellness, and self-development in an easy, grounded, and relatable way. We break down everything from the Akashic Records, manifesting, spirituality, and so much more. We want to help expand your boundaries and bring the spiritual world to you in a fun and easy way. Get ready to be inspired with tips, tools, and easy to digest information. Let's do this.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Soul Tribe Podcast. Today's episode is going to be with me, Lucia, and I'm doing a solo. And the reason why we decided to do solo is because the idea of this episode was to talk about, once again, the 3D, 4D, 5D scenario. And I want to thank those that emailed me, and specifically a few really interesting questions that I got of people that were either concerned or not fully understanding or kind of wanted to better understand it. Especially a lot of people are trying to find their center with information when it comes to like relating it to your family and people around you. So I'm going to try to like overview what I understand and know about the shift, the evolutionary shift from 3D to 5D, what I know about that, and hopefully that all of this is going to make us all understand better and be in a more peaceful place with information, not like nervous or worried about anyone like around us and things like that. So this episode is dedicated to those that, you know, connected with us. And again, Lauren and I always invite anyone to email us if there's a subject that you're interested in, or you want us to dive into it again, or explain it a bit better, or like whatever. Like we don't want you guys to hesitate to contact us, because the whole idea of this podcast was literally to share our conversations that we're having with Lorena and to help people not feel so alone, because that's what Lorena and I were going through. We were just feeling so alone with our work with the podcast. Our work with the Akashic Records, I meant. Yes, the work with Akashic Records, and that's why the podcast ended up happening. The idea was to like almost like record conversations we were having on our own between two sisters and say, well, maybe there's someone that wants to listen to this. And that's how the podcast began. But most of you know the story. Anyways, so I'm saying that just so you guys understand that, like, if you've been really dying to message us or ask about something or suggest an episode, go ahead and do that, because we're very open to it and we love talking to everybody and we love hearing from you guys. The idea is that this is a community. And of course, I'm going to add to that because we do have an even deeper community, which is our Patreon. So for those that are looking to have much more direct contact with, not only with just me and Lorena, because the Patreon community isn't just about me and Lorena, it's really about all of us that are in it, and we're all sharing with each other. And I mean, we have some really cool people in the Patreon. I mean, and some of the members have been there for so long that it's like, it just feels like family at this point. Like we all know all of each other's stuff because we all share. So if anyone's really looking to, you know, connect and find a secondary family, because that's what it feels like, at least to me and most of us that we talk on a daily basis, I invite you guys to join, because we not only do we have extra podcast or Patreon episodes on the platform that is Patreon, where you'll get 3 additional episodes in the month. We also have discounts for all the members that we're always trying to like add value to the Patreon. And so now we started adding discounts, whether that's for like a Akashic Records reading from me or Lorena, or with both of us for the dual reading. We also have discounts that we just added for people that want to sign up for Akashic Records level 1 or level 2, or one of our other courses that's related to that. And at the same time, we actually have a lot of people. I just want to say this before I start with the episode. We have a lot of people in the Patreon that are like super already on their own path, like super aligned with that, and doing their own healing modalities. Some of them I had never heard about. And we actually, every time we all develop something new or there's something new we want to do, we actually like practice on each other. So we'll like do service to each other before we kind of take it out into the rest of the world. So I love that I've done that as well with the Patreon members, where I'll have a new modality I want to try on, and, you know, people will be like, oh, I'll be your guinea pig. So we do that with each other, which I love as well. And then we like root each other on, and we give each other feedback and testimonies and things like that. But not only that, but we have so many individuals that are so good at what they do already, and some of them are just beginning. And we've decided we wanted to start interviewing them. Well, if they're willing to. Not everyone's ready, but when the person or the individuals are ready, the idea is to interview them so then the rest of the Patreon members can like listen to their story and how they got on the path and what's that modality or that, practice, what is it all about? And well, whenever they feel ready as well, they can come onto the podcast and bring it out into the world even further. But the idea is from the beginning to share it with each other and open up and get used to sharing more. So shout out to, I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to like put anybody in a spot, but like shout out to my last interviewee. She came on to talk about her modality. I'm very proud of her. I know she was very nervous about it, and I'm sending her all the love and all the push to keep pushing forward and one day to come talk on the podcast about what she does because she's so amazing at what she does. So you know who I'm talking about. You know who you are. So I'm shouting out to you now. Okay, so that's the Patreon. So if you want to sign up, you guys can find the Patreon button on our website. And as well, you can find it in the show notes here in this episode as well. On the bottom, the community, you can go there, click on, and it's literally super cheap. It's like the price of, now with inflation, it's not even the price of a coffee. It's kind of funny. Because you used to say it's the price of a coffee, but now everything's in, the inflation, everything's so much more. Now it's actually way cheaper than a coffee. Okay, so let's get into the subject for today, which is the whole idea of further understanding, diving into, again, 3D, 4D, and 5D. So I'm going to really briefly explain that we weren't always here on Earth. So when I say we, I'm talking about like Earth. Some of us as souls might have been here for this scenario I'm about to talk about. Some of us souls might have not been here. But I think that a lot of us were here for what I would call the fall of Atlantis. And the fall of Atlantis is not just the famous fall because of, everyone knows it as like I think people would call it like the cataclysm, or like some people would even describe it as the great flooding or something like that. But so that, I think that's why a lot of people call it the Great Fall. But when you understand a lot of other stuff that was going on in Atlantis, you understand that the fall of Atlantis also meant that the collective that was the current humanity living here on Earth fell from fifth dimension all the way down to third dimension. So we had two civilizations that are really important, that majority of our souls either lived in one or the other, experienced one or the other, and some of us experienced both. And maybe some of us experienced it more than once. Like a few incarnations in Atlantis and a few in Lemuria. I don't know. Like every soul is very specific. But what I've noticed is what comes up in the Akashic Records reading when I give individuals Akashic Records readings or I get their information, I understand that I never get, or at least till this day, maybe that changes in the future. Maybe we're not prepared to understand more or get more. But I've noticed that most people will get information about past lives in the reading, either that their soul had an experience in Lemuria or either their soul had an experience in Atlantis. So from what I understand as a reader, when I'm getting people's information, I haven't seen someone's soul be like, hey, I was in Lemuria and Atlantis. This is why I always say we were either in Lemuria and Atlantis. Maybe some of us were in both. I know that for me specifically as an individual, my soul had experiences in Atlantis. I don't think I have any connection with Lemuria, and if I do, I haven't gotten it or I don't need to know it. So that's my conclusion. Again, I don't think that's like a rule of thumb. It's just something that I observed as a reader because I haven't gotten anybody to come to me for reading and then be like, dude, your soul's talking to me and showing me, the life here in Lemuria and Atlantis. I haven't seen that. So I'm being just honest with it. So I think that the majority of our souls either experienced one or the other. So what I understand from Lemuria is when the civilization began, and remember these civilizations lasted a really long time. We're not talking about like 100 years only. Like this is thousands of years. So Lemuria, it seems like at some point when it first began, it seems like they were in ninth dimension and they slowly began to, I was going to use the word transcend, but that's the wrong word because transcend would be kind of to elevate, right? They slowly began to like densify into fifth. When Atlantis came into play, or when the Atlantis civilization began its experience here on Earth, there was no longer a ninth density to experience. They began experiencing fifth density, and then it slowly started densifying back into third density. Some people will call it was manipulation. Some people will say that the history is that there was external forces that were bringing down, I guess, the quality of life and bringing down the experience and bringing down the abilities of the Atlanteans to a point where they ended up in third density. And I'm not saying that that's not true, because that could possibly be true. And I definitely think that there was a lot of control and manipulation and negativity in the Atlantean times, because I can tell you personally, when I'm not able to get a lot of information from my Atlantean past life, my soul's past life. I think I just can't handle it really. And I haven't pushed too hard for it either, because every time I kind of semi-feel into it, I'm like, oh God, and like the word control comes to my mind. And so I think there was a lot of the beginning of immense amounts of control there that really triggered me. And there must have been some sort of experience my soul had, because for me, when I feel like my freedom's being taken away and control is being pushed onto me, or, you know, the community I live in, or the society or the culture, whatever, Lucia, me as an individual, it triggers me to a point where I know it's connected to Atlantis. So I'm not saying that there wasn't external forces that might have played a part in the fall of Atlantis. I definitely think that that's it. But I'm of the opinion that everything that we hear about also has a dual explanation. And I think that it was always part of the plan for us to have to go into the density because of the experiences that our soul needed to have to further evolve the human race. This is all information that I better explain and get much more into detail with my Cosmic You courses, which I have on our Thinkific website, which I constantly talk about and share with you guys. This is the kind of information I get into. So I'm not going to bring it in a whole class, because literally I've been diving into it and doing one class at a time, trying to divide the information so we can better understand it, because it's actually pretty difficult to understand if you just try to say it in one sitting or in one class. So this is just kind of a tidbit of it all to understand that we had to go into 3D to evolve the human race. And the part of the human race that needed to be evolved, or the body or the avatar of the human race that had to be evolved, was the mental aspect. It needed to be further evolved to its point of much more able to be analytical, much more able to think, much more able to process things. And we've done a really good job of developing that, because look at us now. We're just freaking analytical all the freaking time. So yeah, good job, humanity. We got there. So since we did do that, and since it did happen, now we need to plug back into our spirituality. And when I say spirituality, I'm not talking about religion. When I say spirituality, I'm not talking about go to the church or go to the synagogue or go pray to a god or the god or whatever. That's not what I mean with spirituality. When I say spirituality is finally recognizing and realizing that we are much more than just this flesh, meat, body, and that there's something else grander outside of us, and that we're here for something much bigger. And when we finally understand that and begin to connect with that spirituality, we start understanding that we are the solution for the human race, and we are the ones that are helping evolve it, and our souls are the ones that signed up for that. And that's where we go back. We're supposed to bring us back to the dimension where Atlantis had fallen. We're supposed to walk the whole race back to 5D. And it's not just boom, snap of a finger and it's done. That's why you guys always heard me might have say when people are yeah, we're going to go to 5D. I'll be no, it's not that. Keep calm, we're going to 5D. No, it's not that easy. It's a whole process. And it's not going to be a walk in the park. And it also means the body has to receive frequencies and upgrades and energy. We're just it's just like a computer that needs a new software. And I explain this as well in my Cosmic You classes. What the software is, what's the name of the software, what's the project of the software, how do we further develop it, all these things. There's a lot to understand about it. It's not just a snap of the finger. And so becoming aware of the process, I think, is important. And becoming aware of what we're here to do is important. Understanding that there's a bigger picture. So it's not just us being a slave race and being limited. There is, of course, beings that are trying to control us because they don't want us to evolve. And that's why I call it the opposing side, because I say the opposing side to the human evolution. They don't want the humans to develop further and go back to their fifth density. And those beings that have been trying to control us, their energies are usually in 4D. So what happens if we jump to 5D? We're now above them and they can't control us anymore. We surpass them. So can you imagine how they're feeling when they're like, no, don't let the humans wake up. No, don't let the humans figure it out. No, don't let the humans reconnect. Because if we go to fifth, then they can't control us from fourth anymore, and they're going to be in fourth. They have no power over us anymore. So we're in third density. It happened from Atlantis to now, right? We've been developing the whole mental thing. We're now in a place where we begin the long process of preparing the body, of downloading the software, of doing all the work, of detoxifying ourselves and all this stuff. And we're going to start developing or downloading or upgrading the software that is our avatar bodies. And that the idea is that we have to begin to go to fifth dimension, but you can't just jump into fifth dimension. It's a slow process. And what the Akashic Records always made me understand was a fluctuation thing where you might be in the process of coming out of 3, but you're fluctuating between fourth and third. Maybe you probably in the beginning spend more time in third than you do in fourth. When you begin to become more spiritual, more conscious, you develop all that stuff more, you begin to detoxify the body, maybe you're able to finally stay in fourth more than in third. But you can't. We cannot live in fourth, because fourth is actually a I think the word I want to say for people to understand is like non-tangible, but they call it the astral. It's like an astral realm. So that's why we'll have people say, my house is haunted and I have a ghost, but I can't see them, but they're opening up like drawers, or like poltergeist activity, or they're turning off the faucet and turning it on and the lights are flickering, but you know something's there. You know something's manipulating it, but you can't see it. And that's because the individual who's experiencing all of that activity is in third density. And the individual or the being that's doing the activity is in fourth density. It's a being that no longer is in the third density realm that we're in. They passed away, so their avatar human body passed away. And they've evolved or moved on to fourth density, and they live in that astral realm that is fourth density. And they can live there because they're not carrying through a body, a tangible, physical avatar human body. They're living we have more than one body. We have like our astral body, and we have our light body, and we have our emotional body, and we have all these bodies. I don't even know how many bodies we have, because apparently it's a ton. It's a ton of bodies that all reflect this physical one. So whatever happens in the physical, it affects the more ethereal ones, and whatever affects those affect this physical one. So everything's linked together. Your bodies are all linked together, and they all affect each other. But understanding that ghost supposedly that no longer has that physical body is still utilizing the other bodies it has, but it's not vibrating in third, it's vibrating in fourth and up. So that ghost is going to have a body in fourth, it's going to have another body in light body and mental body, and who knows what other densities those are above that. But it does not have one down in third. That's why you can't physically see it with your eyes, because you are in 3D physical form, and that being is in 4D astral realm. And so what we need to understand is that we can't live in 4D. We're not going to be living there for like 20 years, for example, right? We're going to be fluctuating back and forth. And when we're finally ready to start hitting fifth density or fifth dimension, we're going to start fluctuating back and forth between fourth and fifth and fourth and fifth and fourth and fifth. You can live in physical form with your physical body in fifth, because that's what the project is. The project that is everything that we're doing in the evolution. And Atlanteans were in fifth, and they were very physical. I think we can all agree that they were all very physical. They had pretty massive bodies, from what people say, or archaeologists that like go through the bones and say that they were like really tall and really big. And I believe that the majority of those bones were probably Atlanteans that they're finding, I'm assuming. Okay, so understand that we're not going to stay in fourth. We're going to be fluctuating between third and fourth, and then at some point we'll be fluctuating between fifth and fourth, and until we can finally stay in fifth. So it's not like one straight line where you made it to fourth and you're there. It's not like, it's not like you walked a block and then you got to the block. No, you walk to the block, but now you have to walk back home to go pick something up because you forgot something at the house, and then you go back to the end of the block again to your new house that you moved into maybe, and the move is going to take maybe a few years or a few months or whatever. So that's something that I wanted to make sure that everyone understands. We're not going to live in fourth because we won't survive, but we're going to be fluctuating. So we do have the right to pass through it because we need to pass through it. It's going to be interesting because I think that a lot of people that are going to be fluctuating a lot in third and fourth, those people might be able to better perceive what's going on in fourth. So you might become much more sensitive to other entities that are around you. It's interesting. Maybe some of you already have stories with that. I personally haven't experienced that. I'm very content with that, actually, even though I'm very obsessed. I love watching all those ghost investigation shows, and I'm so interested in that world and how, people in our world are getting information and able to prove that. I'm obsessed with those shows and helping them move on and things like that. But I would rather not experience it for myself. Okay, so now that I explained that, what I want to move on to is we did not all sign up to go into fifth density. And to better understand that, you have to understand the totally different types of souls that are here. So we have the starseeds, for example. And this is not a new thing for you guys because you heard me and Lorena talk about starseeds so many other times, and so many other people talk about it, right? This is nothing new to us. And starseeds, the majority of starseeds did sign up and say, hey, dude, I'll go down there. I'll take one for the team. I'll help out the evolution of humanity for whatever reason they might have, because every starseed might be totally different, their reason. But so that individual the majority did sign up to come here to be part of the solution or the help or the assistance or the carriers of the project and of the evolution of humanity. So I'd say that the majority of the starseeds are here to literally do that part of the evolving. Now, it's tricky because some of us might have been born some of us are starseed, and we might have been born into a family where some of those family members are not actually starseeds. And maybe some of those did not sign up to be part of the evolution. And that's because we have a lot of souls here that might have not been able to learn sufficient lessons or evolve enough as a soul, or evolve enough to be able to say, I'm ready for fifth. So some of those souls, it's not because they don't deserve it, or it's not because they just can't do it. It's because their soul just decided, I'm kind of wanting to continue. I really want to continue to experience their density. I think there's so much more juice to get out of this. There's so much more I want to take out of this denser realm. I want to continue to evolve in it before I ascend. So it's not that they don't deserve it. It's not that they're bad people. It's just that their soul, for whatever reason, wants to continue to experience their density before moving on to a higher density. Because once you go up, you just keep going up. You're not going to go back down, right? Except for the starseeds. They went back down in density because of the fact that they wanted to come help the majority. Or maybe they might have had some team members or family members or soul groups that were down here and they got stuck and they wanted to come help because they thought that them coming down here would help kind of bring up the rest of their people out of it. So there's so many different reasons. But understanding that we might have friends, family members, loved ones, even children, maybe some of us. This was one of the questions that came in as well. What if one of my children aren't signed up for that? Or I'm seeing that they're stuck and they're not progressing. From what I understand from the spiritual information, there's nothing we can do if some soul signed up. If a soul signed up to stay in 3D because they need to continue to expand and experience their density, expand from there, then there's nothing we can do about it. Literally, you can throw every signal, every class, every information, any secondary information that might help wake them up from what we say or see the other perspective. They're not going to get it because their soul's not signed up for that. Their soul's not signed up to get it. So we can't do anything about that. And it also doesn't mean they're not going to go and drop off the face of the planet and die tomorrow. That's not how it works. Their contract is still going to be, respected. Their contract is still going to be respected. They're still going to have the right to continue the 3D experience. When Earth no longer can carry their density, which from my understand is after 2050. So it's almost 2060. When 2060 hits, we're almost towards the end of their density, not permitted to be here anymore. From what I understand, 2075 is literally the last moment where it's 3D can't be here anymore at all. But up until that, the souls can continue to be respected and carry out their 3D experience if they didn't sign up for the evolution. What supposedly is going to happen with those souls, they're going to be passed to another, I guess you can call it another Earth. They're going to move on to like another sort of like Earth or another planet, call it whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. It's another third density. So those that didn't sign up for fifth, that want to continue experience, that are still here, let's say in 2070, and there's a few years left of third density on Earth and it's dissolving, right? They're going to have the right to either pass away and incarnate back into some other planetary system that's carrying that density that they want to experience. Supposedly that density is going to be better because it's not going to be a controlled, manipulated environment and world like we're in now. So it's going to be a third density that's much more positive from what I understand. Still going to be third density, still going to be duality. So there still has to be that duality in third density always, but it's going to be not so manipulated and, if you ask me, annoying like this one is, where it's like constant control and constant manipulation all the time. So it's going to be a better third 3D than where we have here. So that's one of the options. Apparently the other option is they're somehow sent to that planet. So they don't have to like go through the process of fully dropping the human body here, but somehow being carried or sent to that other planet. I don't know which one it is for who. Like, I just don't know. We don't know. I don't even know if the individual will be able to know. Like, I don't know if that's information that we'll ever get for each individual, like how it's going to be for them. But I think the majority of the plan is that they'll go to another planet that's carrying that density that they're wanting to still continue to experience. And what the other thing I understand is because they also don't want a lot of mourning, like a lot of sadness and mourning for those. Let's say that you're a starseed. Now let's say that you're the only starseed in your family. Then you have your mom and your dad and your brothers and your sisters and maybe your kids and maybe even your husband. Let's just say the worst case scenario. Everyone around you signed up for the only 3D and you're the only one that's like 5D. Let's assume that, right? Like the worst case scenario. And you're like, what? I'm going to have to go through the experience possibly of all of them dying or passing away? Like what? Or just like somehow disappearing somehow or whatever? Leaving my life and not being there anymore. And so the solution that was given from a very, very high up hierarchy, or I hate that word hierarchy because it's like bad to use because it's not the way it works there. But it's like the higher dimensions that are assisting us with this whole project. Their solution to that was they don't want sadness and mourning because that's going to lower the frequency of the planet. So they're going to do the scenario of walk-ins. So that means, let's say, for example, your father's like signed up for 3D and he still has like a lot, like his physical body's really good. He still has a nice long life he could possibly continue to live, right? And let's say one day, like his soul's like, well, I'm ready to go to the other 3D place. So let's get me out now. I just want to leave now instead of in 10 years, for example, right? Let's say that individual says that. Then the soul will do that, but instead of passing away, a walk-in will come. So that means that another soul will come into that body. There's an agreement. There's no taking over. There's an agreement. So there's a whole plan. So that soul is going to leave, go into another 3D planet to experience that. The soul that walks into that body then takes over that lifetime, takes over that life experience, and that individual will still remember, walk-ins still remember the lifetimes that they had, like that lifetime that they had, the memories of like being a kid and playing. You'll remember your mom and your dad and your sisters and your brothers and going to college because that information's stored in the brain, in that body, right? It's still there, that information. And some walk-ins won't even know that they're walk-ins. They'll just carry on that life. The only thing that could be possibly noticeable is you wake up and say, wow, dad is like, it's like yesterday he went to sleep in a bad mood and he always had issues, and now he woke up and it's like he sees everything in a positive and amazing light. So that's an indicator that it's possibly a walk-in scenario happened. That person just totally changed their perspective on life. And now that individual soul did sign up to be part of the evolution, for example, right? It's a walk-in. The walk-ins are higher vibrational. And so that walk-in came in, took over that lifetime to help with the evolution, but not only just to help with the evolution, but as well to make sure that there's not additional sorrow and sadness added to the population and the collective. I'm not saying that this is going to happen with everybody that everybody that signed up for 3D and is not going to do 5D. I'm not saying that because some individual souls actually did agree to leave this body, let it pass away, let it go, and then go somewhere else. So it's highly dependent on each individual being. But that's a scenario that's been fixed. So if you have a child that you're saying, I think my kid, again, if it's a kid that was born not so long ago, like it's 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, then those beings already are part of the shift. So there's no only third density beings that were born after that time, right? So for example, like my child, she was born in 2017. I had to think about that. That's really bad. She was born in 2017. For me, there's no doubt that she's one of those higher vibrational beings that are here to just be part of the whole process. And so you're not going to have beings that were born after 2016, for example. None. There's no beings that were born after 2016 that are going to be part of 3D. Now, 2012 was when, and this I explained this process more in Cosmic You, but like 2012 was when we closed up an era, and we closed up the era at the end of the year, and then we began a new era. So 2013 was like the beginning of the new era, kind of sort of say. So the beings that were born around that time, I would say the majority of them are all signed up for the evolution and the human collective processing to the fifth dimension. I'm saying majority because there's a whole nother thing going on the planet that they're trying to help the beings. Like, remember I talked about ghosts not too long ago, and I said, imagine you have a ghost in your house. There's a lot of souls that are stuck, whether it's because maybe there was a big war, maybe it was World War II, and the soul just kind of had a really tragic death and they got stuck. So there's this whole project, because to be able to elevate the energy and like the frequency of Earth, you have to get all those stuck souls unstuck. And so you can't just grab them and shoot them up to, like, I don't know, 8th dimension, go home now. You can't do that. Even though you have people that like do a whole ritual and send them to the light, they do go off into the light, or whatever we want to call it. But to be able to ascend out of this process, of this karmic process, of this whole scenario that they got stuck in, just like us, they have to reincarnate a few times before they completely are able to leave. So that's why I'm saying the majority of souls born after 2012, so 2013 on, the majority of them did sign up for 5th density, but some of them might have signed up because they're trying to come out after being assisted out of like the 4th density stuck. They were in the astral realm. They were stuck because of whatever. They couldn't move on. They had pending. Some souls will be like, it's a ghost because, and it's stuck in the 4th density because they had pending things that they felt like, what's called unfinished business. That's what I'm looking for, the word unfinished business, or because the death was tragic, or because some of them didn't even realize that they died because it was so quick and so unexpected. So they need to reincarnate back. And we're in the process of helping those stuck souls get unstuck. So there's this whole team of individual people. Some of them are incarnated on Earth right now. Like some of those shows that I love watching, some of those shows actually are individuals. Maybe they don't know it, but they're incarnated here. Literally, their job, their mission, their purpose was to come here and help those souls move on. And especially in this era and time where we need to raise the frequency of Earth. And so getting those individuals to be able to move on, that's what those people signed up for. Possibly, maybe they don't know it though. Then we have beings that signed up to help, but that are not incarnated. They might be more like master energy or ascended master energy who work through somebody, for example. So there's more than one kind of level of individual helping with this process of getting those stuck souls unstuck, right? But those souls can't just shoot up and just go right back to source, for example. They need to literally get out of this process that is here Earth, because it's so specific, the process, and it's so complex that you just can't send them up, go home, go to the light. Because usually when we go to the light, we incarnate back here, right? Which a lot of people call the samsara wheel, which we don't have anymore. The samsara wheel isn't something that the quarantine that Earth had that got us stuck here with the samsara wheel, that scenario, it stopped. It ended in 2016. So now once we evolve and we're out. That's it. You're not stuck, so you don't have to worry about that. But these souls are still had so much things pending. They were stuck in the 4th dimension in that spirit form or astral form, and they needed some sort of assistance to get out. Whoever helped them, then they have to be helped. They're assisted or they're processed with the assistance of obviously their spiritual team, whether that be masters or guides or whatever. They're assisted back to make a plan to incarnate back here to shed all that stuff they had pending so they can finally go. So it's like they have to become unnegative or unheavy or unstuck with all that stuff that they kept them in 4D. So that's why I'm saying that the majority of the souls that incarnated from 2013 on, the majority of them did sign up for 5D, but not all, because some of them are those souls that have been assisted to get unstuck from the fourth density, and that now are processing their things. So they might come in, have a lifetime, and for a while shed some stuff, leave maybe a little bit early, come back, have more experiences, shed some more stuff, leave again, come back, begin. So they're gonna do, instead of doing one long 100-year lifetime, they're gonna do a few short ones, sort of say. So they can better process and not get stuck, because if you give them a long lifetime, they're just going to get stuck with more stuff. They need to come, work specifically on something to shed, go, come back. So understanding that allows us to understand that we can't change. Each soul has a really specific thing they're either here for, going through, purpose, mission. Maybe they're just getting themselves unstuck from that scenario that I just talked about. We don't know. But we can't force them to wake up if they're not here to wake up, and their soul's not going to have it. You're just going to become like an annoying person that's just like drilling at them. And this took me a while to understand, because I was trying to wake up my own family members around me that are like, no, but look at this, but you have to hear this, but this isn't this, but you don't understand this. And I wasn't understanding that maybe they just didn't sign up for that. And no matter how much I talked about it, no matter how many audios and videos I might have sent them, they just weren't there yet, or they weren't there yet, and they will get there. It's possible that they will get there. So it's very specific and independent to each individual soul, but understand that there are a lot of souls that are here to do that fluctuation, 3rd to 4th, 4th to 5th, and it's not an overnight thing. It's a slow process. And we need to be very careful with what we ingest. And when I say ingest, it's not just food. It's like water, the quality of the water we ingest, the quality of the food we ingest. Is it being sprayed with chemicals? Is it being sprayed with things that are going to keep our vibration frequency low? And it's not just that, it's medications. These medications are a lot of medications. Some of them might be lifesavers for people and they've saved your life, but it lowers your frequency. So becoming aware of everything that comes into your body, whether that be a lotion, whether that be, a perfume, whether that be a food, water, being very, very conscious of what's coming in to us, whether that be through our organ, that is the skin, or that is the mouth, for example, with the water, the food, and the medication, and think of everything and realize that everything is frequency. Now we need to become much more conscious. This is part of the thing I was saying where the Atlanteans and becoming much more spiritual. This is part of that becoming spiritual, realizing that everything is frequency and that all that frequency affects us, either in a good way or in a negative way. So those are things that we need to start going back to natural medicines, going back to holistic ways of being, holistic ways of solving things, not solving things with a possible solution that, like I talked about in the Healy episode, where it's like we keep fixing things externally, but we're not going to the root of the problem. Like we got to start going to the root of the problem so that we can release that density or that root issue, so that we don't continue to carry it. We can move on to the next thing that we need to clear out, so we become less dense and more high frequency and more vibrational, and we help ourselves with those fluctuations that I was talking about. And I'm sure I'm going to be talking about this more in the podcast, but so the next really important months, we talked about, Lorena, that March was a really important month, a super important month. The next really important month that we're going to have is in August. So whatever you can do to detoxify yourself, to align yourself, to frequency align yourself, all those things that you can do. If it's a habit that's really bad for you, try to drop it. You have from now to August to try to drop all the bad habits. And bad habits is not just something you're eating. Bad habits could be negative thinking, like negative patterns of thinking. Do I complain a lot in my head? I had to work on that a lot. Like, do I complain, bitching in your head a lot? That's what I say I do. I bitch in my head a lot. Am I bitching in my head a lot? Like, I need to let go of that. Like, what is my talk? What is my internal talk with myself? So that could be a habit that you need to drop. It could be that you're realizing you're consuming too much, like alcohol, for example. Could mean that you're realizing that you're not really checking on how your food's being grown and the frequency might be really low. And just by changing the brand or something, maybe the frequency elevates it. Things like that. So just spot your negative habits. Maybe it's just like social media. Maybe social media is bringing your energy down. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas there. So like you could spot what it is that might be bringing you down. But I think that it's the best thing for everyone to kind of begin to drop those negative things and use all the time we have up until August, so that when August comes into play, we can receive all that amazing frequency, because there's going to be a really important download that comes in August for the human collective that is ready for the next part or process of their ascension. And so again, assuming that it's an individual that signed up for that, August is going to be a month where if you are aligned to receive that information, you will. But with that aside, I don't want people to be freaking out and trying to like fix everything really quickly, because we need to do everything from a place of balance. So even detoxifying yourself, even aligning yourself has to be from a place of balance and not freaking out. So know that if you're not there in August and the package of like download comes, right, and your body was not able to receive it because whatever reason, that doesn't mean that you're out of the game. It doesn't mean that. What it means is that your soul was just not there yet. You individually were just not there yet. And you're just going to get the next download whenever it comes in. And they're going to give you time to get to that. So, but it's just that August is a really important month for those souls that are ready for it. So what does that mean for those that are ready for it? It means that it's highly probable that you're going to be able to receive, your body's going to be able to receive that information, begin the software changes, sort of say it's almost like your computer. Begin the software changes, and then by receiving them, then you can begin to link yourself or root yourself better to the fifth dimensional not lifespan, but what's it called? Like structure. The fifth dimensional structure that's being like begun. Like, you have these communities that are living in much more alignment. That's a fifth dimensional structure that's already on Earth. So we have a bunch of fifth dimensional structures. Some of them we can see, some of them we can't see yet. But so you receiving that package information, assuming that you're prepared to receive it, and then you do all the processing internally, your body's able to do them, it means that your structure is able to connect and root into the new structure, the fifth structure. So your life is probably going to get better. Things are going to align more for you. Things are going to be easier. Things are going to evolve better. And no one knows if they're going to make it. Like, none of us know. No one's got the golden what is it called? Willy Wonka. No one's got the golden ticket. It's you got to continue to do the work till that download comes in. You got to continue to do because no one knows if they got the golden ticket. No one's got it guaranteed. So just continue to make, because I could be talking to you today and I'm like, dude, I'm doing everything I need to do. I'm in a great place. And maybe something in this world hits me tomorrow in the face and I just get really complicated mentally and really dense. And maybe I start eating junk food and toxic stuff and I don't take care of myself. And then August comes, and even though I had done work for half a year, but it got me right in a moment where I wasn't there because something happened, right? So no one's got the golden ticket. No one's got the download guaranteed. So it takes inner strength and focus. It takes focus, man. We have to focus on, there's going to be systems collapsing around us. We already know that. Lorena and I talked about, in the predictions episode, what we expect for this year. There was going to be a lot of chaos and collapsing systems, and it was going to feel insecure, and it was going to be maybe a little bit like, oh no, what's going to happen? How I'm going to sustain myself or my family. That's still going to continue to happen, but we have to focus, look forward and go, this, I'm concentrating on this over there. That's my goal. That's my mission. That's how I want to live my life. That's a job I want to have. That's the kind of lifestyle I want, and focus on it. And that's the only way that you can almost guarantee your golden ticket, I guess you could say. That's the only way, focusing on that life that you know you're here to have, that mission and that purpose you know that you sustain inside of yourself, and surround yourself with people that can share that with you and can slap you back into focus. Don't go. This is the time where you cannot, if you have a few friends that you still really love, but you realize that they're you don't know if they're going to be on the same path as you of openness and understanding this. And you love them, but you don't know if they're going to be there anytime soon. This is the time where you say, maybe I take a moment for myself and I just find maybe that just one person or two people that you know that are going to keep you focused. This is the time where you decide for yourself what's best for you. And so from some of us, it's going to be leaving people behind for now. Maybe they catch up to you later, but that might be for now. And that could be family, that could be friends, that could be coworkers, that could be anything. But just surround yourself with people, individuals, information that's going to help you keep your focus. And I'm not saying be oblivious to what's going on, because we're still going to find out about what's going on. We still need to make sure that everything around us is kind of okay and that we're like kind of set up when things happen. Yes, of course, I always say that. But don't let it traumatize you. Don't let it put you in a state of fear or any negative feeling or feeling like you're not in control. Put your focus forward. And I'm saying this, and I'm somebody that's doing this, because I could totally, completely freak out right now, or I could have been doing it for 2 months now, freaking out about like, how am I going to sustain this with this happening over here, and oh my God, and I'm alone, and I'm doing this alone, and da-da-da-da, because I literally walked myself into where I live now, and now I have Lorena here who just got here like, not even a week ago, but like, I've been like trying to do this all alone, and I came here knowing I was going to be doing it alone. And at any point I could have freaked out, and I'm just going, no, laser focused over there. That's what I'm going for. That's what I'm going. That's the life I want. That's the job I want to continue to have. That's what I want to continue to talk about. This is what I continue to push forward. This is what I want people to be able to hear from me and see from me. And I'm still laser focused with that. But like I said, like the Healy episode that I was talking about my knee, there's few moments where I'm like, my monkey mind jumps in and it gets me. But then I have to pick up and realize, no, this is what's happening. In that case, my last episode that I did solo where, I kind of figured out that was going on, and then the Healy confirmed it. It was like, no, Lucia, no. And I had to put my focus back. So I'm saying this to you, and also being someone that's having to do the same thing, because no one has that, the path guaranteed, and we have to continue to do the work and be centered and balanced. And I did an Instagram post, I don't know how long ago it was, but I was telling everybody, like, go back to the center, go back to balance, go back to your center, go back to your center. Like, whatever happens, something comes in life and slaps you in the face, deal with it, let yourself deal with it for 5 minutes, boom, back to your center. Like, continue to go, call it center, call it focus, whatever you want to call it, but go back to the place in the middle. I don't know for the meditators here, but like, when you meditate and you might have had a day where like so many things went wrong, and then you're meditating and you're connecting with that frequency. That's my favorite part. Like when you're in the middle of meditation and you feel that frequency coming into your body, and it's insane energy, and you're thinking everything that happened today, but this makes sense. This right here, what I'm doing right here, this makes sense. And whatever has to happen or is happening outside of me, for some reason, this energy I'm feeling somehow is taking care of me, and it's going to take care of me and continue to take care of me. Like, do what you have to do to feel that. For me, it's that meditative. I don't miss one day of meditation because it's literally my focus. It brings me back to the center. So I hope that this explains, clarifies, and makes everybody kind of more at peace with the information. And I'm not really sure if it answered all the questions that were sent in, but I hope it does. And just know that not everyone around you signed up for it. There's nothing that we can do to change that for the individual. And if they're not here to understand the information that we've been talking about in this episode, if they don't understand that, maybe they're not here to understand that. If they don't want to hear it, maybe they're not going to ever want to hear it. Or maybe they're just in a point where their soul hasn't gotten to the breaking point. Because it could happen. Like, I mean, look at me. I was a complete and utter rebel till I was in my 20s. And then it was kind of like my dream premonitions that made me like go back to like, wait, what's going on? Like, wait, I have to do something about this. And so sometimes people need something external, much more powerful than them, to like wake them up or get them to realize there's something else going on here. And I'm just being distracted by the world and by my anger and by whatever. So sometimes it's that the individuals around you are not here to have that experience like you are, as for example a starseed, if you're a starseed or a light worker. And sometimes it's just that they're not there yet and they'll get there eventually. So let's be patient and let's just kind of wish the best and hope the best for everybody. That's all we can do, really. But I hope that episode helps you. Oh, I almost forgot. I was going to say this. I wanted to further help everybody kind of like align with more information and assist people with getting like much more other perspectives and amazing information that I really like. You guys always hear me talk about Gaia. It's like, and for those that don't know, because I know there's some people that don't know what Gaia is, I say Gaia is like the Netflix of spirituality. It's like a streaming, online streaming, where you get a bunch of episodes and movies that have all to do with things like this that we talk about in the podcast, right? So Gaia permits you to share links where you can see an episode. So I would give you the link, for example, right? And you would see the episode or the movie. And so I decided that I went out of my way to create a page in my website that's dedicated to me sharing those episodes that I love, that I hope that you guys can see and appreciate and grow from like I did. So my favorite episodes are there. My favorite movies are there. I just finished. I just put it up. So I'm recording this on the Eclipse Day. Today's the 5th. So I just put that up, and I'm going to go into it every once in a while and add new episodes, take out old ones and put new ones. So just make sure to check it every once in a while. I think I'm going to try to change it maybe every like 2-3 months, something like that, so that people have time to see all the episodes, and then I'll go in, delete the old ones, and put new episodes in and new shows and things like that. So to be able to see those links, you go to my website, luciaespiga.com, and then I'll put it at the bottom. So just scroll all the way to the bottom. So you go luciaespiga.com, scroll all the way to the bottom. You're going to see the Gaia logo and a button on the right side of it. So I think it says check it out. I can't remember now, but I think the button says check out or check it out. Click on that button. It's going to take you to the page where all the Gaia sharing is. So you're going to have shows that I share and the description of the shows, and each of them are going to have a link under the description of whatever show or movie I'm sharing. Click on that link. And so the setup with Gaia is all these links are active for 72 hours. And obviously I cannot go in every 72 hours and put in a new link. But what Gaia does is after 72 hours have passed since the link was created, which is probably when you're going to get to it, when you click on it, you just reactivate it by putting in your email. So then you'll get the link again. You'll be able to watch it. So even if it says expired and if it asks you for the email, know that you're just reactivating that link. And so I don't have to go in every 72 hours and get a new link because that would be impossible. So I wrote that again on my website for those that like, I wanted to make sure I didn't have to get like all these emails of like the link's not working anymore. So I wrote it on the website, on the share of Gaia Share website from my page that says like just reactivate the link with your email. But so again, luciaespiga.com, scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see the Gaia logo. There's a button on the right side, click it and it'll take you to the page where all the Gaia sharing is happening. And every 2 months or so I'll be changing up the links and movies so we can watch new things, so I could share new things with you guys. And that's kind of my way of trying to help you guys see more things and hear more things for those that don't have Gaia. For those that have Gaia, you guys already have all the content anyways. So that. And, well, this information that I've been sharing today, a lot of it is further explained, more dissected, and more developed slowly and in classes of like an hour, like 20 minutes each. And Cosmic U. So you can check out the Cosmic U class. I will leave the link under the information of the episode. And if not, you can go to our Thinkific website as well. It's there. So it's all the same link, but just in case, it's all with episode information and also with the Patreon stuff that I was talking about in the beginning. I hope this episode helps everybody. I hope that my Gaia sharing helps everybody. I hope that you guys keep focus. So that's why I'm sharing Gaia. This is literally why I'm sharing the Gaia. I went out of my way to create the whole page just to share, because I knew that's a way to keep focus. So when you're having this is what I do. I don't know, like everybody's different, but like when I'm having a really, really down day, or like a day where I'm like losing hope or faith or focus, I'll just go to Gaia and watch one of my sometimes I'll watch the same episode again that I've already seen before, something that I know that uplifts me. I shared specifically, guys, if you go towards the bottom, I'm sure you've heard about Uri Geller. So he's the guy that used to bend spoons. So I don't know what it is about this guy, but he just makes me have so much faith. so much faith sometimes where like I'll feel like I'm losing my focus and I'll watch. I've seen those episodes of the shows. That's 4 episodes. I've seen episodes of the shows probably 3 times each. Like each episode I've watched it 3 times at least. Maybe some of them more. But there's something, like every time I feel like I'm like losing faith or I'm getting upset, for some reason those Uri Geller episodes of the show, like there's something that like just uplifts me there. So whatever works for you. But that's why I shared that, because I think it's so cool and magical, like the Uri Geller story, so cool. But yeah, so that's going to be on the Gaia Share, so you can find it there. I'll be leaving it for a while before I change up and put new episodes and things like that, so check it out. And yeah, let me know if you watch any of the episodes, if any of them, I would love to hear from you guys after you watched it. Like, did you love it? What did you think about it? Was it amazing? Did it uplift you? Did you like the bending spoons of Uri Geller? And then there's Abundance Code. I have some episodes there of that too, so just check it out. And I love you guys, and begin to align yourselves, begin to detox yourselves, begin to think about what you're putting in your mouth, begin to think about what you're doing with your thought forms, all that stuff. And prepare yourself to be in the best place possible for August, because I would love for all of us to be downloading the information and taking the journey together. That would be freaking awesome. Love you guys. Bye. Thank you.